Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah. Planning Hijrah is easier when you know what to expect when you get where you're going. I'm going to give you some tips and advice in this video so that you can understand what you're going into in the realm of housing. So we're going to talk about housing, furnished versus unfurnished housing. Let's start with the word furnished. When we talk about unfurnished apartments in Western countries, it is no furniture at all. There's no furniture at all. But there are a few things in the place that you don't have to spend money on, and they're kind of expected to be there. Appliances are expected to be there. So there's always going to be a stove, a fridge, okay? Window coverings are expected to be there. So there's either going to be shades there or there's going to be blinds there in the majority of cases. Okay, shades or blinds. Anything beyond that, you're responsible for financially. The place may have carpet, it may not have carpet, okay? But there are certain things that are just standard. When you talk about furnished or unfurnished in the Middle East, it is in every sense of the word. There's no window coverings of any kind. There are no appliances at all. You have to buy everything. And that can really take a whop out of the money that you have that you saved up. Again, reminding everyone that when you arrive, you only have the money you have in your pocket and what you have access to in your bank account. Because until you get paid from the first job, you've got nothing. So you want to spend as little money as possible. I would suggest finding yourself, if at all possible, a furnished apartment. The furniture is already there. Everything is already there. Oh, and also in some places, they don't even have kitchen cabinets. So we're talking about unfurnished in the West, you would have at least kitchen cabinets, a stove, a fridge, and some type of window covering from blinds or shades. Okay. In a lot of places in the Middle East, one vivid example that sticks in my mind is Kuwait. There was a new area there, new complex. They just built a huge area. It had like it had zones. So like the place was so the area that they developed was so big that they had their own exits, which you would get off on the expressway to put you near to that area you were on. And I think they go by blocks. So this would be block 1, block 2, up to like block 7 or 8. When I got in my first place in Kuwait, unfurnished in every sense of the word, and there weren't even any kitchen cabinets. There was nothing. I literally had to go to the store, go to the market, and go look for kitchen cabinets. Now, on one hand, this allows you to put your personal touch on something because, the cabinets are different colors. They're all fiberglass, cabinets, but they're nice. They're attractive looking cabinets, and you can kind of do your color scheme. And if you like interior decorating and all that stuff, then that's no issue if you've got the money for it, okay? But in addition to the kitchen cabinets, I also had to buy a microwave, a stove, a fridge, living room furniture, okay, a shelf, beds, closets. There are no closets. There are no built-in closets in many of the newer homes in the Middle East. I don't know about the older homes, but in the newer apartments and houses that are built, there are no built-in closets. So you have to buy a wardrobe, okay, which is basically like a separate closet. You open it up, and it has your area where you can hang your clothes, and it's got little bitty shelves here in the middle here where you can put like light things, like t-shirts, underwear, light clothing. Okay. And then if you want anything more than that, you got to buy a dresser. So we're looking at the wardrobe, the dresser, the bed, possibly a vanity, and your your side post, your bed, your nightstands, right? 2 nightstands. So you're talking about at least a 6-piece set, and those things can be extremely expensive. Extremely expensive. So already just the bedroom. You just the bedroom, you're probably going to be out at least a couple of grand, because that's not including the mattress. I didn't include the mattress and the box spring. Okay, I'm just including the stuff that comes as a set. Now you can buy them separate and piecemeal, but that's a lot of running around trying to mix and match and all that, because you don't want to foot out 1,500 or 1,000 dinar, you know what I mean, to just buy the set. So that's that. Then you got to buy the kitchen stuff. That's with the plate. That's not counting the plates, which you can pretty much get cheap. There's a place, and I've seen them 1, 2, and 3. I think I've seen them everywhere except Kuwait. My memory doesn't serve, but there is a big department store called Ramez, Ramez. So Ramez has like everything, and everybody goes to Ramez. Ramez has plates and clothes and, you know, electronics and dishes and silverware and knives. And they're like almost like the Walmart of the Middle East, almost, you know, not the same quality, but they've got everything for you. And there's kind of a lot of the stuff is on the cheap, but dishes are very expensive. And depending on how you live, you know, you might wind up paying a lot of money for just plates, for just, you know, cutlery and plates and stuff like that. If it was me on the cheap, I'm going to say, okay, I got a family of 5. I only need 5 cups, 5 spoons, 5 forks, 5 knives, 5 plates, 5 bowls, a serving bowl, maybe a big serving plate, you know what I mean? Some big pots and pans, but I'm going to be as frugal as I can possibly be. I don't need a 15-piece stoneware set for 5 people in my house. Well, we might have guests. Well, when we get guests, then I'll buy some more plates. Because you don't want to come into this spending money. You don't want to come into this spending money. You're at a deficit and you haven't even gotten paid yet. You haven't, if you're smart, most of the time you want to arrive your first day of work, your second day of work, you know, a day or 2 before, so that you can get acclimated to the area, do a little bit of light shopping, get some food in the house, you know, kind of walk around your neighborhood. And I would strongly suggest that. Always walk around your neighborhood. You know, later on you might get a car and you can drive, but there are a lot of things you don't see in your neighborhood when you're driving as opposed to walking, shops and stores and things like that, that you would normally just ride right past. But if you're walking the neighborhood, you get to see every little area, every little nook and cranny and all that stuff. So, and then also you'll get a chance to see, like, you know, what I call the ingress and egress. You know, how can I get to my house? I can come down this block, I can come down that block, I can come from this direction, I can come from this direction, you know, so how do I get in and out of here? So when we're talking about unfurnished, it's everything, you guys, not to mention carpet, beds for the children, and that might also be a bed set as well. Now you could probably do the cheap route and go get you some plastic containers and, you know, make your dresses, put your clothes inside of there, the little plastic sliding shelf thing. You could do that, but I'm just saying that's still money that you have to spend. And if you've got little kids, you probably want to get some toys or something like that so that they're not driving you crazy because they have nothing to do and nothing to play with. So they're going to be underfoot for a very long time. And then that's not counting the school fees and all that. You get what I'm saying? So, you know, I hear people doing this a lot. They'll say, oh, you know, you can live off of X, you know, I found an apartment for X amount of rent. Yeah, okay, you did that. But it's like, you're going to spend some money. So you want to reduce the amount of money that you're spending. And that means that, you know, you pick a decent place. So what I did, when I went to Bahrain to look around for a job, I actually found a job, mashallah, before I left. And so my friend, he was like, listen, you want to get your place before you get here. He said, because sometimes they're going to put you in housing with someone you don't want to be around, or in an area that you might not necessarily like. Remember, this is a business, and they don't have to live in these houses and these apartments. You do. Okay, so they're looking for the cheapest thing, the most cost-effective thing, you know, that is there. If it's a new company just starting out, a new school just starting out like that, don't look for any kind of luxury situation. They're going to get you the bare minimum. You might not want to do that. So you might want to scout around for a furnished apartment. That's exactly what I did. So I had him find it for me. And it was a 2-bedroom apartment. It was furnished. It was not the nicest place at all. It really wasn't. It was borderline clean, but it had a couch, it had a table, it had a little TV in there, it had beds where we could sleep on. There was a fridge there. All the stuff that I would have had to buy, I didn't have to buy it. Okay. And we stayed there all of a month, you know, and then my wife just couldn't take it anymore. So we wound up moving from there to another place. But That's a month worth of hotels I didn't have to pay. Okay, that's a month worth of furniture and expenses that I was able to keep in my pocket that I didn't have to pay for. So if you can find yourself a furnished apartment, and oftentimes the furnished apartment is, you'll have your utilities included in most cases for apartments. It might be different for houses or villas, they call them. It might be different. So you might have to pay utilities for the villa, but then again, it depends, because the person may say, well, the person may just include the cost of the utilities inside of your rent, and then you don't have to worry about it. So it all depends on what you all negotiate. Okay. But I'm just saying, furnished as opposed to unfurnished, you definitely want to find your furnished situation, especially in your first year, because again, you don't know where to go. You don't know where the deals are. You don't know what's considered expensive and not expensive. And you can't, and this is what you need to stop doing from the moment that you land. Stop converting money into your currency. Stop converting money into your currency. So if you go, for example, to Saudi Arabia, and someone says, as an example, the place, the money for this place costs 1,500 riyal. So you say, 1,500 riyal. If I pull up my exchange app, I see that 1,500 riyal is like $400. Okay, I can do that. I can do $400, but 1,500 riyal might not be what the average person is paying. They may be paying less than that. So you've overpaid and you don't know how much you're supposed to pay. And you're locked in for a year now. You're locked in for a year. So now that's $400 a month. That's 48. That's almost $5,000 a year that you could have kept in your pocket had you looked around a little bit or gotten something that you could sit in until you found something nice. So even if you get there and you, what my friend did is I sent him, I Western Union him the money for the first month's rent. Okay. And alhamdulillah, in many places in the Middle East, they don't charge a deposit. They don't do credit checks and all that stuff, man. When do you want to move in? Okay, this is how much the rent is. Give me the rent, sign the contract. I give you the keys. Thank you, my salam. Have a nice day. And that's the end of it. The rent is 1,000. You got 1,000. I got 1,000. When you want to move in? Give me 3 days. Okay. Can I take the keys now so I can start bringing my stuff in? Yeah. Meet me here tomorrow at the office. We'll sign the contract. I give you the keys. You give me the first month's rent, and you're done. You're done. Not all that other letters of reference and all that stuff. No. So he got the place for me. I sent him the first month's rent. He got the place, and when I got there, I think he met me at the airport. Yeah, he met me at the airport, picked me up, me and the family, and gave me the keys. So we went from the airport straight to our apartment. My school was shocked, the principal, because they're going to be handling housing. So he said, okay, Abu Idris, do you need anything? We have the housing set up and everything. I said, no, I'm good. Huh? I said, I'm good. I'm all right. Okay, yeah, but like, do you have somewhere to stay? Yeah. Where you stay? I said, I got an apartment. You got an apartment? That blew them out the water. You got an apartment? You just got here? You got an apartment? I said, I had it before I came. That's where it pays to have contacts on the ground. People that, this is where that ta'awun and bit of a taqwa comes in, you guys. Having somebody that, a Muslim who wants to ease your situation because he knows how it is when you're first landing. Okay. You don't need nothing from him. He's not freeloading off you. You're just trying to help him out. Okay. And so he knows this. He's going to say, listen, I know it's going to be rough when you first get here because you don't have anywhere to go. You got to try to find a hotel and you're landing at 2:00 in the morning because these Middle East flights, they run late at night because of the time difference. So now you already jet lagged. You did a 12-hour layover in London Heathrow or in Frankfurt. Now you get on the plane. Everybody's tired. Everybody's grumpy. Everybody needs a bath. You know what I'm saying? Everyone's hungry. You can only eat so much peanuts and airplane food. People are hungry. And you don't want to spend all your money in the airport. So, you need to get to a place where you can, even if it's temporary, even if it's not the best of looking places, at least I can go in my bag, get my bath towels out. I can get my soap out. I can wash my hair. I can wash myself, give the kids a bath. We'll find some little restaurant off to the side, some little cafeteria. We'll grab something hot to eat. You know what I'm saying? And then we'll, get some sleep and then plan our next move, So that's what you want to look for. That's my advice to you in terms of that. You want to find a furnished apartment, and there's not much difference between a furnished apartment and an unfurnished in terms of the rent. Not that I've seen. There's not much difference. So, the only difference being that you're going to have to pay for all the furniture, So you might have to stay there for about a week or I'm sorry, a month or two. The other reason why you want to do this is that if it doesn't work out, if the job that you're on doesn't work out for some reason, you're not on the hook for all the furniture that you bought. Because now it's not working out and you decide to leave and you didn't find anything, you didn't find another job before you left. Or they fired you and they said, this is not going to work out. So we're going to write you an exit visa and you got to go. Now, typically with an exit visa, if the employer writes an exit visa, you really have to go right then and there. But the government will give you at least a couple of weeks, 15 days to be exact, to get your affairs in order so that you can go. Nobody's just going to get on the plane. And they do that sometimes. I've seen some really dirty stuff happen with a lot of these teachers and employers. All right. But if you got your own place, then you don't have to worry about somebody, coming to get the key from you and kicking you out somewhere. Okay. Just make sure that you have your housing allowance included inside of your contract of what it's supposed to be. And what they do sometimes they'll lump all that together. So they say, okay, we're going to give you 20,000 real per month. You go, whoa, I hit the gold mine. 20,000. But what they're not telling you is that 3,500 of that is a housing allowance. 500 of that is a transportation allowance. 1,500 of that is for fuel or whatever else that they include. So there's like extras, but they put the extras inside of the salary, and you really don't know what the base pay is. Excuse me. You really don't know what the base pay is. So you have to say, okay, well, how much of that is this? How much of that is that? And then you'll see what your base pay is, what you're actually working with. So I'm just saying all that to say that if you can find your own place in this and you get a housing allowance, or they have housing, or you can negotiate housing allowance and things of this nature, try to do that stuff before you leave. So that way, when you land, you might find that the place you rent is really a nice place and you're good. The neighborhood is good. Shops are close by. Not a whole lot of walking because you don't have a car. Okay. And who wants to be walking around in 110, 115 degree heat in full niqab and abaya and hijab, with kids behind you? You know what I'm saying? Nobody wants that, man. So you might have found a nice, decent spot. Just make sure the housing allowance is secure. But in terms of furnished versus unfurnished, my advice would be to go with a furnished apartment if you can find one. Okay, it might not be in the best area, it might not be the best looking place, but it's going to keep some money in your pocket until you can kind of get around and network with some of your coworkers and say, yeah, we got a place over here. We all live in this building. We all live on this side of town, and the rent is this and this. This teacher's been here 3, 4, 5 years. He knows the owner. You can talk and like that. So until you establish some kind of contacts on the ground and stuff like that, and make some connections and things like that. So I would just go with furnished as opposed to unfurnished. And then if you do have to leave, there's nothing to liquidate. You just pack your bags up that you came with and you just go. Okay. So that's it, you guys. If you got any benefit from the video, please make sure you like and share and subscribe. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.